Salam students, today we will be discussing social studies for 10th class for state board, and the topic for today is social stratification. So to make it very easy, I have divided this topic into two parts, part 1 and part 2. So part 1 contains social inequalities followed by educational inequalities and gender inequalities. Then comes social stratification and its features. So today we will be discussing what is social inequalities and social stratification, the part 1. So let us get into the topic. Before starting today's class, the topic social stratification, it is very important for us to know what exactly is sociology. Sociology is nothing but a study of society. A society consists of various people, various things, various forms and various behaviors. So, in nutshell, sociology is nothing but a study of society. So as you see here, this slide contains various colors, various fonts and various words which is present here. It is nothing but society consists of various people of different class, different sects and different individuals by their own. So this is what exactly sociology means. Simple definition on sociology is nothing but the systematic study of society. So if you take the literal meaning of sociology, socius means companion and ology means study. The study of companions means the study of surroundings. Our surroundings is nothing but companion, and that companions are individuals, and these individuals are present in society. So make it very clear, sociology is nothing but the study of society. And the father of sociology is, I am sure you all will be knowing, the father of sociology is Auguste Comte. So as the topic goes, social stratification. Before starting social stratification, it is very important for us to know what exactly is the word stratify mean. Stratify mean to arrange, to categorize, to classify, to rank or to order. This is the exact meaning of stratify. So now it is very clear that what is sociology or what is social and what is stratify. Let us combine both the words, and that is our topic, today's topic, that is social stratification. So let us look into what social stratification exactly mean. Social stratification refers to a system by which a society ranks, categorizes people in hierarchy. I repeat, social stratification refers to a system by which a society ranks, categorizes people in hierarchy. Let us take this example which is there on the slide. Basically, there are three classes present here: upper class, middle class and the lower class. So each one has his own attire. Attire means the clothing which he is wearing, and each one is standing on a different money. This shows their status. If we take the first example, that is upper class, he is wearing a very nice coat with a very nice tie, with a very nice pant and shoes, followed by the second one, he is not having tie, with a very minimum quality clothing. And if we take the third one, he is wearing the torn clothes with a very bad mustache and a very normal hat. So this is known as different classes of people who are there in the society. So what exactly social stratification means? It ranks. So the image is ranking the people, ranking the person according to his status, according to his uh, recognition in the society, and categorizes people on the basis of hierarchy. So this is the hierarchy which is being done in this image. So now let us go, what are the basis for this social stratification? To have something we need a proof. So these are the proofs. Society is based on these qualities. What are these qualities exactly? Qualities such as gender, caste, profession, class. This is the proof for social stratification. Yes, in the previous slide, we saw social stratification means a division or a rank which categorizes people into a hierarchy. To categorize that, we need some of the qualities. On what these qualities are based on? The qualities such as gender, caste, profession, class. These are the basic major fundamental qualities for the social stratification. So now next we will be discussing about various inequalities which is present in the society. So various inequalities such as there are three important inequalities present in the society. So the first one is social inequality, the second one is education inequality, the third one is gender inequality. As the topic says, social inequality. Social inequality is nothing but the inequality which is present in the society, and the educational inequality is nothing but the inequality present in the education sector of our country, and the gender inequality is nothing but the inequality which is present among the gender which is present in the society. So it's very important to know these inequalities as we are in the society. So the first one is social inequality. The very fact that people are stratified to various qualities such as gender, caste, profession, class, and race, so that becomes the proof for social inequality. As the topic says, social inequality, what is these inequalities? So I would like to underline the major key points. Dear students, I would also request you to please underline the words which I will underline on the slide. Social inequalities are gender, caste, profession, class, and race. Please take a note of this. Social inequalities: income resources, education and professional opportunities, health facilities, and political representation. These are already present unequal social opportunities. So, to make it very simple, social inequalities are income resources, education, professional opportunities, health facilities, and political representation. But the qualities for social stratification are gender, caste, profession, and class. So let us make a little comparative study about this. Don't get confused. Social inequalities are this one: income resources, education, professional opportunities, health facilities, and political representation. Whereas social qualities are gender, caste, profession, class, and race. Why does this social inequality is present in the society? Because there is already a presence of social inequalities through social qualities, and because of the opportunities, social opportunities which is already lack of opportunities which is already present in the society, so social inequalities are there. That is the result for social stratification. So if we take an example, social inequality, the best example for social inequality is the public sector. The public sector consists of health, public education, social security. The life of poor is made very difficult. So if we take the example which is present on the slide, there are two people, that is a father and son, who is standing and watching the IT sectors, which is the other end of the society. So basically these poor are deprived out of the society of the various sectors which is present in the society, like public health, education. They are not getting all these sectors to their benefits. So that's why poor are becoming more poor and rich are getting richer. So this is one of the basic fundamental inequality which is present in the society. By this, one can clearly understand there is no equal distribution of education, social status, and other things in the society. So now we can clearly make out social inequality is nothing but a inequality which is already present in the society because of indistribution in the opportunities such as education, public health, and professional opportunities. By this we can be very clear that social inequality, what exactly is social inequality. I hope you have understood what exactly is social inequality. Let us go to the second one, that is educational inequality. Educational inequality is nothing but the inequalities which has been present in the sector of education in the society. So before going to this, let us know what exactly education mean to an individual. As you all know, dear students, education plays a very vital, very important and very essential role in one's life. If I am educated, I am aware of some things which is being done in the society. For the best example is, I am taking class for you and you are listening to the class now. So I am educated, so I know how can I pass on this education to you. And when you are exposed to this education, you will be knowing what exactly education and what are the benefits of education and how we can achieve our goals, our aims, our ambition and our passion through this medium of education. So let us go to the topic now. Education is a special structure that brings in equal opportunities, openings, and social justice in one's life. Dear students, please mark whatever I will underline here. Education is a special structure, brings in equal opportunities, openings, and social justice. What is equal opportunities? If a person is educated, he will be knowing what all are the opportunities he should get in the society. If an educated person, if he or she is educated person, he or she will be knowing what are his opinions can be given in the society, his openness, his opinions which can be shared in the society. If he or she is educated, he will be knowing his justice, what are the rights and roles he can play in the society. So, in according to this, our government has made some articles and some responsibilities and rights which has been given to the society through this sector of education. So let us look into some articles and some amendments, some changes which has been done in these articles from the government. So also our directive principles of state policy and in the constitution, they have made this education as a main sector. So what exactly is directive principles? Directive principles is nothing but to ensuring the social and economic stability of a person in the society. And also in our constitution, education plays a very important role. How it works, how some of the articles have been enforced in our constitution. So now let us look into that. Let us go through some of the articles which has been enforced by government. So article 39. So let us see what exactly article 39 says. It is said that providing social justice and people welfare for people is the duty of state government. My dear students, a very important note for all of you, articles which has been given or which has been enforced by government cannot be changed either in the words or in the sentence. So article 39 is what exactly article 39, and you have to write exactly what it is. We can't change articles. So there is one of the important note. So let us see what exactly article 39 says. Article 39 says that providing social justice. What is social justice? Social justice is what a person exactly wants in the society, exactly what he can be in the society. The justice and people welfare, these two are the keywords in the Article 39. So please take note of it. Social justice and people welfare, this is the duty of the state government. So this is exactly what Article 39 means. So three main important keywords here is social justice for people, people welfare of the people, and it should be ensured this is the duty of state government. Let us go to the next slide. After 36th amendment, so what is the meaning of amendment here? Amendment is nothing but some changes which has been done in the articles which is already existed. So if I want to change some article into a some changes in the article is known as amendment. So after the 86th amendment which was done, there are some changes which was done in the educational sector. That is the first one, Article 31A. What does this Article 31A says is free and compulsory education of all the children in the age group of 6 to 14 is a fundamental right of all the children. So dear students, this 21A article says the keywords are free and compulsory education to the age group between 6 and 14 is a basic fundamental right. Means anybody who is between 6 to the 14 years, his actual right is to get educated during that age. Not that he should be a laborer, not that he should be working in some this thing. So it makes very clear that Article 21 makes very clear that from the age group of 6 to 14, he should be educated and that is his fundamental right. So this is about Article 21A. Article 14, it is a provision for free and compulsory education for children. So what it's saying is, Article 21A says it is a free and compulsory education to the age group of 6 and 14 and it is a fundamental right. So it is a slight change in Article 45. What it is saying is, it is a compulsory education for children. Compulsory education for children. So there is a slight difference between Article 21A and Article 45. So this is about Article 45. So now let's go to Article 19. So Article 19 is a very important article to be known to each and individual person who is in the society, because this is a fundamental and the basic right which everybody should be knowing. So what exactly Article 19 says that right to speak and to express one's own opinion is the fundamental right. So if a person want to share something in the society, he should be having a right to express his feelings, to speak up. So there are various examples, like some people who are low in the society were not given the opportunity to speak or to express their opinion. Yes, because of these differences, government came up with such an article that each and every person who is in the society should be having a right to speak and a right to express his own opinions. As a citizen of the country, he should be having all the rights to express his feelings as to what he feels. So this is about Article 19. What it says, please note down: right to speak and to express one's opinion. So this is about Article 19. Now we are done with Article 21A, Article 45, and this is Article 19. So let's go to the next one. Yes, there are so many articles which is enforced by government to education, to social inequality and other things. But what about these children? These children, just look into their faces and just look into the images here. What is the fate of the minority children who are present in the society? Who will take care of them? Yes, for them also there are certain measures, there are certain responsibilities which has been taken from the government. Let us go to that articles now. These are very important articles. Article 29, Article 30 and Article 46. So this is basically about minority children who are deprived of education, and it is some extent that these students or these children were not exposed to education. So for them there are some responsibilities, there are some articles which has been enforced by government. So let us look into that now. Article 29 says provides for the protection of cultural rights of the minorities. Please make a note. Provides for the protection of cultural rights of minorities. Very important. Article 30 provides for the establishment of minority educational institutions. For example, if there is a very remote village where there is no option for education, so what does this Article 30 says? It helps to the establishment of a school or a small space wherein this education can be established. So that's what the Article 30 says. Article 30 says establishment of minority education institution. If you look to the first picture, there are students of different classes, and teacher is not having any infrastructure facility. Whole school is not having any infrastructure facilities. Teacher is not having a table. Students are not having benches to write. Students are sitting down. There is no proper building, or there is no any facilities for them. So this is the plight of the education which has been given to the village students. Of course, now there are some changes which has been done from the NGOs, from government, or also from private sectors. So Article 30 clearly says that establishment of minority educational institutions. So let us go to the Article 45. 45 what clearly says is, clearly expresses the duty of the government to support education for SCs and STs. So in full form, ST is scheduled tribes and SC are scheduled caste. These people were totally neglected in the society, and what exactly this Article 46 clearly says, it is the duty of the government to take care or to support the education for scheduled castes and scheduled tribe children. So now in this slide we are very clear, and it is a very important article. Article 29 says the cultural rights to be protected of minorities. Article 30 says establishment of education institutions for minorities, and Article 45 clearly says government should support the education sector of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. I hope you are pretty clear about these articles. Please don't make any changes in this article. Write as it is, what is given in your textbooks or what is shown on the slide right now. So now let us go to some decisions which has been taken from Supreme Court. There are some decisions which has been taken by Supreme Court in this educational sector. Let us go to that. So Supreme Court declared this school education should be a basic right, a fundamental right, a primary right to everybody. So this brings a new hope or some new rejuvenation in children's mindset, so that they can achieve something what they have thought when they are in childhood. I have to become a doctor, I have to become a teacher, I have to become a lawyer, or I have to become a very good IAS officer in the society, and I have to change the society. So when the Supreme Court announced that school education as a basic right, this brought a new hope in the mindset of children. There were many smiling faces in the village side because they can achieve their goal. And what is the next one? And one more important decision which was taken by Supreme Court was there should be a holistic approach in the education system, beginning from Anganwadi till the higher studies. So what exactly Anganwadi means? Anganwadi is a government initiative wherein it starts before the KGs. It's like a kindergarten where a teacher goes to the home and gets the child to the education spot wherever they are being educated, and government provides their all facilities like food and other things in the day, and in the same way they will be returned back to their houses in a safer manner. So what the government, what Supreme Court exactly is telling is, from the Anganwadi till the higher studies, it should be a holistic approach. So now what is the meaning of holistic approach, dear students? Holistic approach is nothing but a all-round development. So what all-round development consists of? So let us see. All-round development consists of intellectual, that is our intelligence; social, social means how we interact, what are the roles and responsibilities one should get; physical, a physical, it may be a sports or it may be something related to other things, physical things in the society; emotional, our emotions, how to control our emotions, how to behave when we are depressed or other things which we have, which a child should be known; spiritual, spirituality plays a very important role in each and everybody's life, so that one; and a creative thinking. A child cannot be taught chemistry, physics, biology and just left to the society. He should have some creative thinking, which wherein he can innovate or discover something on his own. So this is called as all-round development, and it is very important for a child to be a part of this holistic approach. So this is about initiative or a decision which is taken by, a wonderful decision which is taken by Supreme Court. Now let us see some of the other decisions which has been taken by Supreme Court. As per these decisions, all the citizens of the country have a basic right, and education is a part of right to live. There is also one more article which says right to live, right to live. So right to live, this particular article has been uh, put into education. Basic right is a part of right to live decision which has been taken from Supreme Court. And the next one is, whatever the decisions, whatever the articles which has been made by government, whether it is for private sector, whether it is for government sector, or whatever the decisions which has been taken till date, even now we are facing this inequalities in education, which is very bad. Even there are lots and lots of children who want to be educated, who want to get education, but they are still deprived of this education. Yes, students, it's a very sad part to discuss that there are lots of children who want to study, but they are not getting these opportunity. So this is about education inequality which we have learned in this lesson. So one is the first one, first inequality is social inequality. In that we learned how society has been indifference in various aspects, and now we know what exactly is social inequality, sorry, education inequality, and what are the various steps which has been taken from government, but still we are facing this education inequality. So the third one is gender inequality. So now let's look into that, what exactly gender inequality means. Gender inequality. So as we think gender inequality, what exactly we get to our mind is difference between male and female. Yes, if you look into the image which has been given here, there are poles where a man can climb, but there are no poles to women to climb. And the down one is, there is a difference, sometimes difference between women and men for various things which has been distributed in the society. It may be profession, it may be other things in the society, but there is a difference between this gender. So let us look into that, what exactly it is. Society is interdependent on person to person. If a person thinks something, that thought is carried by another person. So our society is interdependent, whether it may be our own neighbors or whether it may be our own family people, but our thoughts will be carried from one person to another person. So what exactly is that? This gender inequality may be related to food, education or health sector. So let us look into that. There is an example which has been given here. According to the National Family Health Survey 4, which was done in the year of 2015 and 16, the body mass index of a rural woman is compared with the body mass index of a urban woman. So let us take the statistics of that. The rural women percentage was 24.3% and the urban women percentage was 16.2%. So before getting into the body mass index, what exactly is body mass index mean? Body mass index means, it is given here, body mass index means the calculation of a weight of a person in kilograms. So the ideal body weight, the ideal body mass index should be, if it is below 18%, then it is underweight, or it is above 25 or 24%, it is obesity, it is overweight. So if we take the rural women's body mass is 24% and the urban women body mass is 16%. So there is a huge difference if we compare, huge inequality if we compare the rural women body mass to the urban women body mass. Because of this inequality, there is a rise for a disease by name anemia. Anemia is a disease which makes reduction of red blood cells in one's body. So what does this red blood cells mean? These carries oxygen from the heart and brings away the carbon dioxide in one's body. So due to this reduction of red blood cells, there are women, also children, who are suffering from this. Let us look into that statistics. 60.9% of children are suffering from anemia and 45.2% of pregnant women are suffering from anemia. You can see the image. The women who are suffering from this anemia have been put to the bottle of blood and they are taking this red blood cells to get cured from this particular disease. So this is the differences which have been seen in the society. That's what effects of anemia, reduction of red blood cells. In this scenario, the development should include the food and nutrition security to women, basically to women and for the children. This is very important. At this point of time, we have to make sure that we are giving a equal distribution or equal support to children and women. So this is about gender inequality. Now let's see. Till now we have seen the three inequalities. The inequalities related to society, the inequalities related to the gender, inequalities related to the education. Now it's time to learn what are the features of social stratification. Yes, there are mainly four features of social stratification. One is social stratification is social in nature, social stratification is universal, social stratification is ancient, social stratification exists in different ways. So the keywords here are social in nature. Please make a note of this. Universal, ancient, exists in different ways. So let us look into each one of the point or each one of the feature of social stratification. The first one, social stratification is social in nature. As we came across the inequalities and what exactly is social stratification, now we are aware that how the social stratification is being seen in the society. So if we take social stratification as a social in nature, this is a scenario where the social stratification depends on the social recognition and the importance, but not on the physical traits. For example, social stratification depends, as it is a social nature, it depends on the social status of a person. It depends on the social recognition of a person, not on the physical traits, The best example is not on the person's height, beauty, or on the strength of the person, but on the person's income, profession, education, skill, and other social traits. So very simple. Social stratification depends on the social traits, but not on the physical traits. So this is about the first point, social in nature. And when come to the second point, social stratification is universal. As you all know, society is already divided from the ancient times, because these social opportunities varies. So what exactly is universal means? Whenever human society, wherever human societies exist, it is based on division of labor, profession and income. So obviously, our whole universe, the society is divided into the profession or income or division of labor. By this, we are very clear that social stratification exists everywhere in the society. Wherever society is there, there we have the division of labor or profession or income. So it makes very clear the feature universal is social stratification is present everywhere, wherever these important points are. Okay, let us go to the third one. The third one is social stratification is ancient in nature. As we all know, as we studied in the previous point, that is universal, social stratification is there since from the ancient times. So it was there during the nomadic period. Nomadic people are people who will wander for their profession, for their livelihood. It was there during that time, and also it is there in the civilized society. Even now we have social stratification. Our society is divided based on the profession, based on the income which a person gets. So there is a connectivity in these features. The first one is social stratification is social in nature. It depends on his physical, not on his physical traits, but on his social traits. Connecting to that, it is universal. It is everywhere. So as it is everywhere, it is from the ancient. It is, it was also in the nomadic people life, and it is also in the civilized people life. So then when coming to the last point of features of social stratification, exists in different ways. As it is a social in nature, as it is universal, as it is ancient, it is existing in different ways and different lives in different places. So let us take the best example. In Rome, people are divided into two types, that is plebeians and patricians. Patricians are the people who are very small group of people but who have got all the authorities in the Rome, and other people who are in the Rome are known as plebeians. So this small group have the hold of the society as they have the power in their hands, and other people are known as plebeians. There is a difference between patricians and plebeians. And in the same way, in India, as you all know, our Indian system was known as the Varna system, where we have different rankings of different people according to their profession. So this is about social stratification, which is exists in different ways. So make it a nutshell, it is social in nature, connecting to that, it is universal, connecting to that, it is ancient, connecting to that, it exists in different ways. I hope you have understood the features of social stratification. There's one more last part which is there in the first part of this social stratification, that is major forms of social stratification. Till now we are very clear about the definition of social stratification, about the features of social stratification, and now we are going to the major forms of social stratification. Yes, it is not similar. This social stratification is not similar. It is different from different places. As the sentence goes on, though social stratification is present in all the societies of the world, their forms are not similar. This is a very important point. It is not similar. Social stratification is not similar because the structure and the nature differs. The best example is Rome and India. In Rome we have plebeians and patricians. In India we have 4 different types of Varna system. Yes, it is not, it is because of the structural change and the nature change. They have differences in structure and nature. So let us now try to know what was the major social stratification, what were the major forms of social stratification from the ancient world to the digital world. So now let us look into that. So these are the major forms of social stratification. The first one is primitive society, that is the very old, very ancient society. Primitive means the very old one, followed by slavery, followed by estate system, followed by Varna system, followed by, and the last one, the present digital world. As you all know, now society is divided into castes, various castes. So the first one was primitive society, which was followed by slavery and estate system and Varna system, and now the digital world, which we all know, that is the caste system. So dear students, in this class we covered three main topics, that is, what is social stratification and three major inequalities. What are the inequalities? That is social inequality, educational inequality and gender inequality. Followed by, we also saw four features of social stratification. That is, the first one, social in nature. We can have a connectivity to all the four. Social in nature, universal, universal to ancient, ancient to exist in different ways. And the last segment was major forms of social stratification. That is, from the ancient world to the digital world. So dear students, in the first part of this session, that is social stratification, we studied about social stratification, inequalities. When goes to inequalities, we studied about social inequality, educational inequality and gender inequality, followed by the four features of social stratification. The four features are social in nature, then followed by universal, ancient and exist in different ways. And now we are in major forms of social stratification. So you are done with that topic too, even too. So I hope you have understood this class and enjoyed this class. So this is the end of the class. If you have any doubts, you can always call us through phone, or you can always contact us through WhatsApp. So I hope you have understood this class. Let us catch up in the second part of the social stratification. Thank you. Sai Ram.